Hey guys, Admiral Infinity here today with the Kv5 review. Let's get started with the stats. First off, for protection is 1600 hit points. Whole armor has 180 in the front, 150 in the sides, and 140 in the rear. The turret armor is the exact same, 180 in the front, 150 in the sides, 140 in the rear. It weighs 100 tons. It has an engine power of 1200 horsepower, a speed limit of 40 kilometers an hour, a traverse speed of 18 degrees a second, turret traverse speed of 21 degrees a second, and its standard shell damage is 240 to 400, standard shell penetration, 125 to 209, rate of fire is 6.5, aiming time 2.9, dispersion 0.43, and view range of 220. So let's just talk about this for a second. First off, the Kv5 is an amazing tank when it comes to ramming. This tank weighs more than... There's only two tanks that weigh more, and they're tier 10s, which this thing will never see. So this tank is the funnest thing for ramming. Second, it's ridiculously armored. Really good armor. And can ricochet lots of shots because of its angle. It's got two problems though. One, crappy gun. The gun is not very good. It has low AP, low gun depression. It's just not a good gun, you know, since it's so high up, it's hard to angle down. And the second thing is these two things right here, here and here, and that thing on top right there are weak points. Anyone can pierce this if they hit it head on. And so it's a giant weak point. But if you cover those weak points by using a few strategies that I will show in the video, this tank is a very awesome tank. Let me just send this guy a platoon invite. He'll be joining us in a T-34. You know, because I'm going to be showing techniques, so we need firepower so we can actually win this thing. Ooh, we got unlucky. Normally, the Kv5 has multiplayer modifier and a credit modifier. So what this multiplayer modifier does, it will never, unless you platoon with someone else, ever see games above tier 9. And even then, tier 9 games are uncommon in this thing. And the credit modifier, it gets more credits than it normally would. Like say, if I was in a Kv5, but it wasn't a premium tank, say you could earn it normally, it wouldn't get any, it would get the normal amount of tier 8 credits. This thing doesn't. Because it has a credit modifier, if you did, you know, a mediocre round, you did like 1,000 damage in this thing, then that gets you 40,000 credits. And yeah, you're probably if you know anything about this game, that's really ridiculous. I had a game where it was a good game, 4,000 damage, 75,000 credits without a premium count. If you have a premium count, you can get into the 100,000 credits with this thing. Its ammo costs virtually nothing. To repair it costs virtually nothing. This is one of the reasons I have it, because it's a really, really good money getting tank. In fact, I recommend getting a tier 10, a premium tank, because most premium tanks have a credit modifier, and they're perfect for getting credits, which is the hardest thing to come by these days. World of Tanks, one of the hardest things to do is get the credits. You got the XP, but you just don't have the credits. Because unless you have a premium account, tier 9 and tier 10, you'll usually lose money, even in tier 8 sometimes. So you either got to have a premium account or a premium tank with a credit modifier. And that's how it works, unless you farm for a really, really long time. Now I've been talking too much and not showing techniques, so let's get started with Technique 1. Technique 1 is move back and forth. Find out where your target is, and just move back and forth. Just a simple back and forth motion in random directions when they're about to shoot at you will ricochet shots that should have penetrated the astromech. As you can see now, I'm ricocheting shots from the side, in the front. And now I'm screwed because I was too busy talking that there's every tank around me. So I'll try to show you guys next round good techniques. I was too busy talking. So I'll show you next round. So we'll just wait for this. And I'll keep talking about the Kv5 while I keep going. So the Kv5, really good tank. I love this thing. It's a hard to tank. It's a hard to use tank though, because of its astromech, well, that's what people call it. It's not really an astromech. People call it the astromech or R2D2. It literally has no armor. Anything can pierce it. Anything can do anything to it. It's an easy target to hit, and most commonly hit. Both of these, which makes its front armor pretty much useless because they're not going to shoot at your frontal plate when there's a big old target right there to shoot with no armor. So there's a couple of techniques to cover that. 1, side scraping. 2, doing what I was doing right there. People call it jiggling, whatever you want to call it. Moving back and forth in random motions when they're aiming at this will save your life. Because if you're doing that, because it's so well rounded, it'll bounce shots, because the better angle, the better it bounces shots. So if they don't get a direct hit, it will bounce. So just moving back and forth in a diagonal motion, diagonal direction, can prevent a lot of damage. It won't prevent all of it. You can't expect to get perfect results. It takes a lot of practice to use that technique and never get penetrated. And I'm not one of those people who can do that. I'm barely a mediocre player. Probably not even that in the Kv5. But you just gotta practice. So, side scraping, jiggling, and a third technique, which I don't recommend, it depends on the game you're in, is turning around and driving backwards with your gun over the back. Because doing this, since it has 140 millimeters of armor in the back, that's a lot. That's more than the T-34 and a lot of other Tier 8 heavy tanks. They don't have that much even in the front. So going backwards can really help you. But the problem is, if you get paired up against an IS-3, it can penetrate you in the back and it will light you on fire. So you have to be careful who you pair up against when you go in this tank. If you do the reverse driving technique. And since this is Blitz, it's not as hard as it would be on computer. Like, I've heard people try using Kv5 in reverse. It's really hard. And dang, I wish we got a good map so I could show you side scraping. It makes this thing impenetrable. I guess I could show you a little, like, no tanks will actually be shooting at me, but I can show you like a little demonstration right here, because this works. So what you do, you take your tank, you angle it, and you find a building or a flat wall and do this. Take a look at what it does. It covers, actually that's not good enough. If you angle it just right, it covers your astromechs, or whatever you want to call them, the turrets, from enemy fire. So thus, you will ricochet shots, because it has 150 millimeters of armor on the side. And so, you can ricochet shots, and you'll just drive back out and do whatever you need to do. Give me a sec. And so, doing that makes the Kv5 at its best. Because all you gotta do is park yourself, they'll ricochet, you drive, shoot, go back in. I love that technique. And so, let's get in the battle. It's a Tier 9 maximum game. Not what I wished for. I wish it was a Tier 8 maximum game, because, Tier 9s can penetrate my rear, so I can't show rear driving. Ah, crap, I'm just hindering my teammate. And bad position. Pretty well surrounded on both sides. You know what? I could. No, I shouldn't. Okay. Because I've got 2 sets of tanks on both sides of me. Okay, he can't hit me. Oh, sorry, T-54. It's probably best if I go up here towards the Black Prince, because I can't take an IS-8 right now. So, back to the Kv5. Angling when you charge your opponent is also a smart thing to do. Don't just charge them head on. That's like asking to die. Because they will see your astromech and be like, oh, free hit, and just nail you right there. I'm going to side scrape because, you know, why not? Even though he has a good hit of my rear, he still can't penetrate as easily as he could because it's 100 freaking millimeters of armor. He will penetrate, though, knowing my luck. And I got the ISA shooting me, too. Dang. I would... Okay, I'll try. I'm probably going to die here, but I'll try my best, and I'm out. Unlucky matchups, you know? But I've explained the techniques, and obviously I'm not very good at these techniques. I try, but it's hard to use a Kv5. It's a tough tank. But you know what? Next round, let's show you what makes this thing, what I love about the Kv5. It's ramming. You can't beat this thing's ramming. It's just amazing. So, we'll just wait this one out real quick. And just watch the battle go on. If anything, you guys are getting good battle footage. Seeing other tanks who know what the heck they're doing battling. Maybe not that guy as much, but these people probably. And T-34 is going to go in. And that's a pretty good tank itself. Gotta love T-34s. Their guns are ridiculous. Huh. Is there anything I haven't explained about the Kv5? Oh, yeah. I forgot one little thing. Oh, yeah. I forgot to show you guys what equipment you should get for this thing. So let's exit the battle. And let me explain a few things further. So, turn off my filter so I could just pick another tank. Let's pretend this is the Kv5. Equipment that I would recommend for it. One, you gotta get the heavy spall liner. Because it's a ramming tank, you need 50% armor protection from ramming explosives. One, makes you do more damage. Two, makes you take less damage when you ram, even though it rarely ever takes damage. The other two things I do are these two, you know. I always do those two just because that's how I am. And reload time is always a good thing. But if you're not, you need this. These two are a must because 5% crew skills helps with everything. But for the third one, you can either get this, because to make up for its crappy gun, speed is a good thing. But if you don't like that, if you're not about that gun, I would recommend a toolbox, because heavy tanks need toolboxes. They get constantly tracked and are always getting busted up. So the best way is a toolbox. And then for consumables, get whatever you want. Get whatever you think's best. I always do repair kit, a first aid with everything kit, which is fire hydrant, first aid, and repair kit in one, just in case you ever get rocked. And then I think it's called adrenaline, just to help with, you know, shooting down another opponent. That's what I always do. For consumables, it's anyone's game, because a lot of people like using 30% engine power. Because if you get this thing up to 40 kilometers and you ram someone, I promise you it's devastating. You can do up to 500 damage ramming. If you get 40 kilometers downhill and nail someone in the side or the front direct hit, I promise you it will do 400 to 500 damage. And guess what? If you're going 20 or 30 and still ram someone, you will at least do 200 to 300. Sometimes more. The Kv5 is the perfect ramming tank. And if someone's charging you, you take it. You take it. You run at them too. Because I had a Panther 2 do that to the Kv5, my Kv5 once. I was going downhill, and he decided, hey, I'm going to meet him head on. Yeah, I would not have recommended that move for that Panther. He sadly did not survive the day. I ammo racked him with the ram. Which you can do, but it's highly unlikely. But the Kv5, it's just such a fun tank, and I like it just because of its ramming ability. And its good amount of armor. You can't beat good armor. The only problem is that astromech. If it didn't have, but you know, it's kind of a weak bait. You know, what's it called? A leveler. If it didn't have the astromech, it would be a Kv4 with more armor and weighs 100 tons, and with a, you know, just a weaker gun. Because the Kv4 is similar, has 180 armor in the front, 150 on the sides, but it only has 90 in the rear. This thing has 140 in the rear. And so if you took away those astromechs and all those weak points, this tank would be probably one of the most OP tier 8 tanks. So you gotta make a level, a 11er. You know, like the T95, it would be an OP tank destroyer if it wasn't slow as crap. There has to be a 11er, because, you know, it just wouldn't be fair for other people. If you're walking around in a premium tank and killing everyone, they've been playing the game legit. So, it's a sad deal, but you know what? Wargaming had to do it. If they didn't, the Kv5 would be a lot stronger than it is now. And I'm about to get rocked. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Dang, why? Yeah, crappy gun depression. Like I said. Can't aim its turret down worth crap. I need to back out of here. I really wanted to show its ramming ability, but it looks like that's not happening. So, you know, look out for Kv5 clips. I've explained all I've done. I've tried to demonstrate techniques, but as you know, I'm not very good with the Kv5. It's a hard tank to use. But if you see players that are good with them, they devastate the battlefield. If you want a premium tank, a Kv5 is a really good choice. I love the Kv5. It's fun. I mean, look, you can tell I've played with it a lot because it has 247,000 XP on it. It's just such a fun tank to use. I just love it a lot, and it's a good credit getter. Like, let's just look real quick. I didn't show you really, but look, a victory where I did only 954 damage, 44,000 credits. Not bad. Loss, 25,000. And let's see if I can find... Nope, I can't find that. So, I hope you guys have enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and if you know, want me to review one of these tanks, or I have some other tanks I can work towards a tank if you guys want me to review it. And, yeah. Be prepared for Thursday's video, Shots and Shrapnel Episode 3. And, excuse me, hope you guys have enjoyed. See you all later.